Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the best part number DD513 core and key marking block is what this is. This weighs about 0.82 pound and is literally a fixture to hold a cylinder and a key blank for stamping is what it's for. This is nice because it will at least hold reasonably well whatever it is that you're stamping. When you take the die and you have it between your index and your thumb, well, you can't really hold what you're stamping. You've got your striking tool, your die, and this will at least help you hold down the material. First of all, a couple of dimensional properties of the item. Overall width, about 2 1/4. Overall depth, 1.5 inches. Overall height, about 1 inch. Okay. I have a generic core here to show you how that's going to fit into the cylinder or into the marking block. Okay. It's going to hold that in. It's not going to fall out. Okay. And it holds it in place. So now, at least, you have the ability to, somewhat reasonably know that that's not going to move very much. Okay, so you'll be able to mark the face of your cylinder. You're not going to want to mark anywhere over here at all on your core. At all. I wouldn't even recommend, well, you'd have to be very careful if you're going to stamp on the back. I would have to investigate whether or not it's factory endorsed to stamp on the back of the cylinder, as that's awfully close to that first chamber, but on the face is what they're looking for with this sort of tool. And in fact, providing us a clue, it will not even go in the marking block backwards. Okay, so be mindful. They're really thinking about only the face of the cylinder. And of course your key blank, that's here. Get the concept of how that's going to work. It's going to stay right in place. A lot easier than trying to hold all the pieces straight. This at least will get it to a position where it's reasonably straight. Okay, like all things with any sort of locksmithing work, there are always additional tools available to help execute the project. And to that end, let's switch to the screen view where we can take a look at that supporting documentation that will show us those other parts. Okay, this is the page that we're looking at here. And what we're going to be able to get to on this page will be that supporting documentation that I referred to. Extended description down here below. The steel tool holds securely any best core for accurate stamping with letter and number dies. Marking of the face of Peaks cores can damage the face. So they're saying if you have a Peaks system, don't mark the face of your cylinder. The Peaks pin is tucked in behind there, and obviously you're going to potentially crush that chamber or that Peaks pin if you were to investigate deeper what that is, and I'll show you where to find that information in a moment. You want to be mindful of stamping on the face. You might want to have something else done, the factory do some engraving that they can certainly do in a non-destructive way to the cylinder. Cut sheet is here, and that's literally just a swatch out of the full line catalog, which is here. And this 12-page catalog is all things service equipment related from Best. And as we scroll through the catalog, right away the pin kit and the combinator, obviously the two big things, or at least the big thing here. The combinator, you're going to need a way to originate keys by code, there's no doubt. And this is the Best factory endorsed machine for doing so. I don't believe Best manufactures this. I believe that a company that manufactures locksmithing tools makes this for them. And I've reviewed this. It is a very high quality tool. And if you originate Best systems, you're going to need a rock solid way in order to proceed doing that. And this is certainly the factory endorsed option. You do have to order it based on the system. Whether it be A2, A3, or A4, and then premium or Peaks The 8436 and 8437 peak 6 pin, I think the difference there is what keyway you need to cut. So you'll want to refer to the service manual for the combinator to be sure that you're ordering the right part number. Or it could just be, I believe it's the keyway. Additional key carriages, we have sold those in the past. If you cut enough keys, eventually you're going to wear out parts, just like everything else will wear out eventually. I've sold key carriages a couple of times, once to the military, who is probably the largest installed base of best small format, and then also a school district, and I had asked both of them how old the tool was and how many keys they thought cut, and the school district said it was about 15 years old, and no idea how many thousands of keys have been cut. The military base said we've got a bunch of these here, and we go through them. So there you go. Key gauge, caliper, capping block, press. This is a capping press. That's the capping block. Best small format is individually capped, and this tool will make an otherwise very long process to combinate a core a little bit faster. And it does it in such a way that you're setting those individual caps to the proper depth as well. Capping pin, ejector pin, tweezers, obviously. Here's our core and key marking block here. Core and key marking plate. If you want to do more than just one at a time, you can set them up. Make a little bit more efficiency out of your work. Graphite gun, storage shelf, a larger tray, 55 keys at a time. Okay, you will definitely want to work efficiently if you're doing large work. The letter and number die sets. This same client on this same order bought one of each of these, 3/32 of an inch, high quality marking die sets. Factory endorsed lubricant. You'll definitely want to use only what the factory recommends as lubricant for the cylinder, whether that be Best or anyone else. Stanley, Medico, ASA, Schlage. Don't use a lubricant other than the exact one endorsed. And that is true of everyone, because the inner workings of a cylinder are dependent on it working, and using the wrong lubricant will possibly compromise its ability to work correctly. Other tools, this is a basic QIC key. Someone invented this tool, and it basically allows you to determine pin stacks quickly without having to do any math. I've never used it. I understand the concept of what it is. I've also never saw the need to use it. However, I probably hold a minority view in that regard. Other material, other tools are here, okay, that you can review and look through. Marking, latch marking tool, strike locator, a fixture for putting your lever through holes for your grade 1 and grade 2 lever locks. This KD304A boring kit, this has been discontinued. Best will ship a unit in its place. It is not equal to this at all, in the sense that it doesn't seem to be made of as substantial quality compared to what this likely was. It cannot do 5-inch back sets. It does not have a quick change, I don't think, etc. Anyway, you can review the rest of this catalog for additional tools and resources as well. The link to the manufacturer's page is right here, and from that page, as we wait for it to load, is going to allow us to view not only all of the best products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's page, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Other encyclopedic documents, such as the quick reference to combinating best cores, is here, and that is literally what's underneath the lid of the pin kit. Depending on which pin kit you buy, it's going to have this quick reference guide right here. There it is for you. Super simple, straightforward. If you need a refresher on how to combinate small format, this would be the document to review. The A2 and A4 key systems training, similar concept in the sense that it's going to basically teach you how to combinate their cores. And while it's a 124-page document, most of these pages aren't relevant to the process of actually combinating So be mindful of that. The peaks we had mentioned earlier has that pin right behind here. So combinating on the face might cause some sort of trouble with that. This is obviously you know, a standard cylinder that's shown here, but they're saying you need to be mindful of that peaks pin, the little triangle shape that's there. That's what allows the peak system to work, by pushing that that blockage out of the way with that little peak. Okay, premium cores are nice because those keys are so much thicker. They are outrageously thicker than standard keys. So if you have a best system and you break keys, you might want to look at the premium material. Those keys are noticeably thicker. There's that pin that we had talked about earlier. I don't think they call it Cormax anymore. Or maybe they do call it Cormax. Anyway, as you continue to scroll through here, lots of additional information. And how to combine that material is definitely buried down here. And as you go through these steps, we're going to show you how to combine everything. And this video won't dive into how to combine a core, except to except to say that you can, read through this and gain all of the information necessary. Just quickly, looking at this stack, obviously we've got a change key or a master key and a change key or a master key. One's cut to a 6 and the other's an 8. So you've got a 6A segment bottom pin and a 2B segment or a master wafer. So clearly our control key is a 4 because you add 10 to the control key, and that would make it 14. You take 14 and deduct your pin stack, which would be 8, which is where 6 comes from. Then you take 23, your pin stack total, and A2 work, then deduct your pin stack, which would be, of course, 14, and then you get 9. 23 minus 6, 2, and 6 is 9. And that's how you combine. It's that simple. The moral of the story is you add 10 to the control chamber. You add 10 to the control cut for that chamber, and then deduct your existing pin stack. In this case, it's 8 because we have a 6 and a 2. Then take 23 and subtract those 3 pins. Bottom, master, control, or build up, top or driver pin is what you are left with. In terms of that AD436, AD437 question, in the entire service manual, AD436. Okay, so, and it's been a little while since I've tooled through here, meaning I don't recall the difference between the two. Peaks are cut on the AD437 and AD436 combinators. Okay. Forgive me, I did suspect that it was the difference between 6 and 7 pin, and that is indeed the difference between the two. That is clear when we get to the breakdown of the machine that is here. Remember, we're talking about peaks. There is a key carriage for there are different key carriages for a 7 and 6 pin, so that is indeed the difference. I suspected the 6 and 7 is what caused that, but I wasn't sure if it was a keyway or handing difference. So very handy, very helpful document that's here for us to review. Okay, Peaks keys are cut on the 7 or 6 pin version of the key combinator. That's a premium blank. So here's a great page. Here's a standard key blank. Here's a premium blank. The fact that this looks thicker is because it's substantially thicker. And then your Peaks key has those two little doodads at the top. Okay, let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, like all things related to locksmithing, there's a tool. There are many tools to do jobs. There's always one tool that's usually best to do a particular job. And in this case, if you're doing just kind of one at a time sort of stuff, this would be a nice tool to have, especially if you don't stamp very often and you don't therefore develop the skill to stamp straight. You know, once that is stamped and it's crooked, there is no way to unstamp it. So maybe this perhaps would be a option to consider. If you have any questions on the Best Access DD513 core and key marking block or any other Best product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.